for being a part of my life. Oh, oh my God, I can't believe it. I think I'm going to get emotional. I'm so editing this part out of the YouTube. Hello, guys, and welcome to Name Drop. Gosh, it feels so good to be back. Um, I have just been so super busy. I cannot tell you these past few months. Unfortunately, my YouTube and my Instagram lives have taken a bit of a backseat. But I'm finally back, and honestly, it feels so good to be back. And can I just apologize if I'm a little bit rusty with this because it's certainly been a while since I've done this. And it feels like it's been a really long week at work too, even though it's literally just been a 3 day week. Speaking of which, Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful New Year's, and here's wishing for an amazing 2022 for all of us. Still feels really strange to say that 2022. It's Thursday night. I have my tea ready. I say tea, but it's actually coffee at 8 p.m. Probably not a good idea. I don't think I'll sleep tonight, but it's much needed. As I said, it's been a bit of a long week at work. So yeah, thank you for joining us. Um, I'm going to kickstart 2022 with an incredibly heavy topic, I guess. And men's mental health is incredibly important anyway. But over the past month or two, there's been a lot of news around influencers, Instagrammers, people in my personal life, even that have actually passed away from suicide, men that have passed away from suicide. And I really wanted to get back on these mental health lives and YouTube videos just to raise a bit more awareness about it. So today I'll be having a couple of guests with me who will be talking about mental health and their own journey with mental health and just to, yeah, as I said, start 2022 on a note of raising awareness and getting people to speak out and not to bottle things in really until it's too late. So yes, it's going to be possibly a bit of a heavy live session for this Thursday night. So trigger warnings out there already, guys. So without further ado, let's introduce one of the guests that I've got on today. His name is Luay, and he's a mental health support worker from London. And we've been good friends for about a year now. And obviously, I know about his story, etc. And he said he would be more than happy to join me on this live to share his story with mental health, and of course now that he is a mental health support worker, and just giving us a bit of insight in that as well. So let me just see if he's in the chat, and if he is, I'm going to add him. First of all, thank you so much for joining me on this live. Hey, thank you so much, because I know what we're going to talk about is incredibly heavy and it's incredibly deep, and the personal story that you're going to be sharing today is not something that's easily spoken about. So for that, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this with me, for the sake of raising awareness and really giving the push that men's mental health, I feel, needs. So thank you. So I've been told by someone in the comments to get on with it, please. So I love how we're making this lighthearted already, because it's going to be much needed. So let's get on with it. So, Lu'ay, for everyone watching who doesn't know you, please tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi guys, so I'm Lu'ay from London. I'm 27. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse and also a support worker in mental health, as well as a scholar within the community at large.
Fantastic. And so, being a mental health support worker, I think from my side, before I met you, I always assumed that it was kind of a type of being a therapist or like a counselor, but it's quite different to that, isn't it? So
Yeah,
can you just
definitely.
run me through like what is involved in being a mental health support worker?
Okay, so my job role as a mental health support worker is for me to be there for my clients, to look after uh, them, their physical well-being as well as their mental well-being, and just to get them to a stage of independence in society where they are, where they are able to integrate within society despite the mental health problems that they are facing on a daily basis in their life. So just some examples as to what kind of mental health diagnoses that I work with are conditions such as Asperger's, bipolar disorder, personality disorder, and schizophrenia. Um, so as a support worker, I help these kind of individuals to live a healthy lifestyle, as well as be able to integrate within society, communicate with the outside world, with others that are like-minded, and yeah, just live an independent life. Yeah,
So you're literally supporting them through life, I guess. I guess that's where the term support
exactly.
worker comes from. Yeah, and kind of like living by them side by side, doing the day-to-day activities with them,
Yes,
etc.
exactly.
Um, how did you end up as a mental health support worker? Like, how did that come about?
So I've always wanted to go into healthcare, and it just so happened that I was approached by a company which correlated with my journey. Obviously, it's a mental health company, um, and I had received a call basically for an interview, and that was that. The next week I started. Uh, and I've learned so far through my own experiences, and I have brought my experiences into my job role. And with this job, what it is that you're learning as you go. There's something new every single day that comes up, and you use different techniques for different challenges that you face within the mental health environment. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you are now a mental health support worker when you have been on a huge journey yourself with regards to your mental health. Before we go into your journey,
Mm-hmm.
was that one of the ways that you actually got the role as a mental health support worker? I mean, or was it more that you have specific qualifications to become a mental health support worker?
It was more so that I had specific qualifications to become a support worker. It was only after me getting into the job role that they found out that, you know, there's this individual that works with us who's got mental health conditions himself, and maybe this is a good asset to the team, and he is somebody that can make a change, is a young face to the company, and also can make a change not only to the company but to the clients themselves. And that's exactly what is happening at the moment in time.
Fantastic. I say I'm so proud of you, Lulu. By the way, if I call him Lulu, guys, that's my nickname for him, but his actual name is Lu'ai. So only I'm allowed to call him Lulu. Yeah, I'm so proud of you. And actually, someone commented saying that we need a lot more mental health support workers. So well done, go Lu'ai. So yes, you're doing us all proud. Now I want to get into your own story that you've been through for you to get to this point where you are now. Now, I just want to once again put a trigger warning out to everyone who's just joined the chat now. Luay has been through some heavy experiences and trauma and battles and struggles with his mental health as a result. And that's how he's ended up here now as a mental health support worker himself. So what we're going to be talking about as he shares his journey now can be incredibly triggering for some people. So just to put that disclaimer out there, so if it does get a bit too heavy for you guys, then just a warning, feel free to maybe not listen in. But so hey, let's start from the beginning of your journey.
Okay, so let's get straight into it. So I um, was abused from the tender age of 17 um, by a well-known figure within my community. The way it happened was that prior to a few months prior to being abused, I had gone on a pilgrimage, and that in itself was a journey, a eye-opening journey to say. And after I had returned, I got on with my usual routine, going college, coming home. But the only difference this time was that I was regularly going to the local mosque to pray. There came a day where I had returned from college and done what a normal teenager basically does, just chills in his room, does his own thing. And my eldest brother had come to my room and said that, Lu'ay, come downstairs, I've got a surprise for you. Now, I come from a background where surprises are rare. And so, as a teenager, I was excited and over the moon that that there's a surprise waiting for me downstairs. And little did I know that was my first introduction to the individual that abused me. So at the door, I had met a group of da'is, those individuals that call others to Islam, and to the local masjid. And this individual, the individual that abused me, was the leader of the group. And I remember him saying clearly that, oh, is this your younger brother? Now, I'll get to the reason as to why I'm saying this statement to you right now. It's only years down the line that I realized that he was the one that booked my tickets, had my pictures, had all my information. So it made sense that I was a clear target.
So
The way
he's the one who booked your pilgrimage, sorry. So he
Yes,
was
yes,
behind that all. Okay.
yes.
So
So
he had seen your details without meeting you. He had seen your passport picture and your
yeah,
visa pictures and all of that. So
yeah,
now in hindsight, it's like you're able to tell that was he knew what he was doing from the beginning.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So
I just want to say, Lu'ay, please share just as much as you're comfortable with.
yeah,
And this is going out live. People are going to be watching this, and I just want you to know we are all with you, and we understand the strength and courage it takes to talk about this. So please, if at any point you feel like it's getting too much, just please let me know. Okay, and only share as much that you're comfortable with.
yeah. So prior to the abuse, he had got to know me through the local mosque, and he had got to know my entire family. So he befriended each and every one of us one by one, gained our trust. He would invite me often to talks, to knowledge circles after prayers. At one point he had invited me to sit with him to improve my recitation of Quran. Now that I think about this and reflect over some of the memories, I can clearly see that this was all just a show for the onlookers to be distracted. What he was actually doing was he was grooming me and manipulating me, and watching me and my reactions. There were many times where we would often go together as a group, from going from one mosque to another mosque for 3 days at the end of every month. And he was put in the same group as me, and he would act very, very flirtatious. He would lash out at me in front of everybody, and then
So he'd be flirtatious with you one on one, and then in front of others he would be quite different.
quite different. So flirtatious, sweet, you can say. You
Like
can.
banter, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes, yes. But and then in front of others, he'd get very angry.
Mm.
Yeah, so like this, he had got to know me until there came a point where there was this specific week where he had. I used to regularly go on Thursday anyway to talks. So there was this one week where on a Monday he had asked me if I would like to stay overnight in the local mosque for etikaf to gain reward, as he mentioned that there are others that are going to stay with us. Now, when it came to that day after the talk, the others had bailed out, but me being naive, said that I'd like to, stay, as I had thought that I still want to stay. I still want to gain the reward.
Lily, I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I just want to give context also to everyone that's watching. So what Lu'ai is talking about is sometimes you can, as Muslims, we can stay in the mosque overnight to pray, and that we see as getting closer to God, gaining more reward for good deeds if you stay in the mosque overnight and stay there to pray and in remembrance of God. And this person used that or tried to use that to his advantage for manipulation. And the other thing I just want to point out, Lu'ay, sorry, we're going to backtrack a little bit, that growing up, we've had this discussion that you felt slightly isolated, didn't you? Like
Yeah,
at
yeah,
school you were bullied a little bit, you were picked on, you never really fitted in with your peers.
yeah,
You didn't necessarily have the best relations with your siblings, etc. So just to put this a bit more in context, that you then meet this person who's become your teacher, your mentor, your best friend, someone you can rely on, someone that you look up to, someone who everyone in the community looks up to, and you feel quite close to, and you feel like you can be vulnerable with, etc. And so, because I know what you're about to tell me, because I know your story already, but I just
yeah.
want to give everyone some context. So, how long was this building of this relationship of him getting close to you, but also actually getting close to your family too, and worming his way in? Did this go on for a few months before it got to this point?
Yes, it went on for a few months, and the abuse went on for a period of 4 years, and I remained silent for a decade. And I've been living in fear ever since this has happened.
I'm so proud of you, Lu'ay, and I'm so proud of you for sharing that. Um, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna go back to what you were gonna say about that time where he said, "Why don't you come over, and stay overnight at the mosque,
Yeah,
if you're comfortable sharing that."
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So tell us what happened.
So, so as I said, after the talk, those individuals that were going to stay backed out. Now, I obviously said I still want to stay because I want to gain the reward. To which he responded, "Yeah, yeah, don't worry, we'll stay." But thinking about this now, it seems like he must have said something to them in order for them to back out. So anyway, like I said, I still wanted to stay, and he said, "Yeah, don't worry." And he had taken me to the local supermarket for to grab a few drinks and few pieces of snacks and whatsoever. And I remember him grabbing a Fanta bottle. Um, I'll come to why that is important in a moment, but on our way back, it was quite late, and he, as we were approaching the mosque, he had taken a different turn. And when I had questioned him about that, he basically said that the gates are closed and we won't be able to get in there until early morning. So we'll stay in a hotel, and I'll drop you off home after that. So we then reached the hotel, and he gave me this bottle to drink. After which, after like eating and drinking, I ended up falling asleep. And what happened was that I woke up with him kissing me and on top of me, rubbing himself on top of me, whilst me being pinned and unable to move and in shock. And when he was done, he threatened me, and said, if you tell anybody, you'll be in trouble. Now, this continued, as I said earlier on, this continued for a period of 4 years. So it was constant. I was abused every week, non-stop. And if I try and do something, he'd, like I said, threaten me. It got to such a stage where I was unable to think. I was being gaslit constantly. And in between this time, I had also started my scholarship. So as the years progressed, as in between these 4 years, there came a point where I started to realize that, oh shit, this just happened to me. How am I going to get out of this? There came a point where I started to realize, and I was looking for ways out. Couldn't do much, as the individual was also, would also record what was happening, what he was doing, basically. And it's at the same time, I would get uncontrollable fits. And I guess the reason for that is because I was constantly crying out for some sort of help, and having these uncontrollable fits may be one of the reasons as to why I was able to escape.
So you say the abuse went on like that for about 4 years
4
before you
years.
managed to
4 years.
somehow
4 years.
get yourself out of that. But you also mentioned earlier that the abuse went on for 4 years. So although you managed to get yourself out of the abuse situation, you still lived in fear for another almost 10 years without telling anyone about this, and with that person still being around you. So whilst the abuse may not be happening, this person was still present in your life for the next however many years whilst you lived with this, and that led you into some incredibly dark places, right?
So like I said, I was eventually able to get out of the situation, and Um, the way that happened was that I just completely ignored him whenever he tried to call me out in public, or tried to get my attention. Um, the day that happened was this was actually during class. So I had blocked him, and I had blocked him from my phone, and just completely ignored him whilst we were in the public area. He had tried to get my attention whilst being in the public area. But I had ignored him. But when it came to classes ending and time to go home, I remember coming out the mosque, and he was just there waiting. So I zoomed past, and as I was going home through my normal route, I noticed that he was following me. So I had to take a different turn, pause there for a while until I'm not seen, and then continue going home. I remember coming home and just bawling out, crying. So from that day, I've been living in fear of not knowing what's going to happen next. Is he going to do something? Because he is capable of many things. Yeah.
So, once again, I know I keep saying this, but thank you so much for being so open and vulnerable about this and sharing this so publicly. I know for legal reasons, we can't go into too much detail as to what's happened with the situation. But as we are talking about men's mental health, how did this then affect you for the remainder of the years before you actually managed to speak out about it?
So how this affected me was that I've not been able to sleep. So I've had sleepless nights, suicidal ideations, bursts of anger, depression, anxiety, anxiety hives. Recently got diagnosed with PTSD. But yeah, so throughout the years, having not spoken up about it, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, depression, spending majority of my time in bed.
Lu'ai, can I just say how much love you're getting in the comments? And people are just coming out and saying you are so brave and so incredibly brave for sharing what you've been through and opening up like this. So you are getting a lot of love. So if we say that went on for a few years, and what was the point after suffering for so long that made you then finally speak out?
If it wasn't for COVID, I can honestly say that I'd be dead by now. What got me to speak up was when COVID hit, everything was at standstill, and I wasn't occupied. The reason why I've been able to, get through so many of these years is because even though it has been on the back of my mind, the whole abuse and everything has been on the back of my mind, I was always keeping busy, so it was kind of easy to cope with. But the moment COVID hit, like I said, things were at a standstill, and it was just constantly on repeat in my mind that I ended up acting on the ideations, suicidal ideations that I had. I had tried committing suicide 8 times by cutting my wrist, trying to cut my wrist, trying to hang myself, bleach, you name it. And there came the eighth time. The eighth try was going to be my last try. It was on a weekend where I had cried out saying that, cried out, screaming for some sort of help, divine help. It was only after 5 minutes after that I had received a text from one of my colleagues. Who had asked if staff wanted to go on a staff picnic the next day. So something as I saw that message, something in me just said, you need to tell him, and you need to do it now.
So this was a scholar colleague?
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
my colleague, scholar colleague. So I told him late in the evening, when us two were alone. I wasn't able to speak. So he had called a friend of mine at the time to tell him what I've been through. It was only after that he got the idea of what I've been through, and he basically told me to write every single thing down from beginning to end, and which I did. And it was after that I was counselled every single day for a number of months, as well as put on support programs to deal with the issues that I have.
And it's so annoying, isn't it? Because it's like you're having to deal with the issues that you have, you say, as a result of the actions of someone else.
Yeah.
And this, I was about to have to excuse my language there, because it's just, I mean, it's I have no words. Now, like I said, we're not allowed really to go into detail as to investigation, etc., what's happening. But the one thing I do want to touch upon is that whilst you did kind of open up, and things were kind of done with regards to going to the authorities, etc.
Yeah.
But you felt as though you were silenced by your own community.
Yeah. So I had at the same time as informing the authorities, I had also spoken to the people that I thought I could trust to help me and to support me in the process. But little did I know that in actual fact, they were actually trying to silence me.
And was this Lu'ai because this figure was someone who was incredibly important in the community, with faith, culture, society, etc.? People were dependent on this person and they relied on this person, or were they genuinely scared of this person, do you think? Which is why you were almost being silenced?
I think tribalism does have to do with it, and personal interests. What I mean by that is they weren't actually thinking about supporting me, but rather they were thinking about how are they going to, save their backs.
So that they don't look bad for being almost,
Yeah,
yeah, almost kind of allowing, not allowing, but almost just not being able to tell that this stuff was happening under their nose, maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Look, hey, I'm gonna give you, speaking of community, and not necessarily getting the support that we would like from our community and our family and friends around us. I'm gonna let you breathe and take a bit of a break because, as I said, I know this is probably incredibly heavy for you. So you are so amazing. I love you so much. Honestly, thank you so, so much. And what you just shared with us, even if it just helps one other person,
yeah.
then kudos. And I think it would help hundreds and thousands and anyone who's watching this to come forward. But as I said, I'll give you a bit of a break because speaking of communities and not quite getting the support and not quite fitting in, I'm going to introduce one of our mutual friends who's going to join us from all the way in Pakistan, which, by the way, I think it's probably like 2 a.m. there right now. So I am so grateful for him to be joining us. His name is Yahya, who's a mental health advocate, as I said, from the subcontinent. And again, he's also been through his own journey with mental health. And he also said he was going to join us on this live. So let me just see if he's in the chat. And if he is, then I can get him in. Hey, here he is.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. How
Hi.
are you?
Walaikum assalam. I would say I'm doing great, but after just hearing Luay's story, I just feel like that's like a big lie that I could just say. Like
Guys, I'm
it's
okay.
really, no matter how many times I hear that story, Luay, it still touches me somewhere like deep in my heart, and it just, it's not a feeling easy to shake away.
It's so
Mhm.
true. And even now, when, like you say, we're all mutual friends, so we've heard each other's stories
Yeah,
like quite a few times. But even now, when I sat here, you could tell I was just getting so angry at the
I
entire thing because
know.
that's how I personally deal with stuff. And it's just, yeah. So yeah, I totally get what you mean. Yeah, yeah. But thank you so much for joining. Like I said, at this time of night for you. And honestly,
My
like I
pleasure.
cannot thank you enough.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I mean, it's 1:50 a.m., but I'm feeling pretty good, you know?
Yeah, you're like this is like when the day starts for me anyway.
Yeah, yeah. That's very
Yeah,
normal. We do this all the
I
time.
love it. Well, yeah, yeah, I am gonna get you to introduce yourself to the audience and everyone watching, please.
I mean, you sort of kind of already gave my half of my introduction away already. So I'll just repeat that and say a few other things so it doesn't sound like I'm not as interesting kind of thing. So I'm Yahya, I'm from Pakistan, and yeah, I am currently a student. I'm in my last year of high school and soon to be graduating in a few months. And yeah, I was actually talking to Naeem several days ago about his YouTube channel, and like I was just talking to him about about how much he's been working on with men's mental health, like several months ago. And yeah, that's where he asked me if I wanted to do this live with him, and I was like, hell yeah, definitely. So here I am.
And the fact that we all are kind of mutuals, I think worked quite well.
Yeah,
Um,
you know,
yeah, you've got the main thing. Can we just say he says he's in high school, but ladies and gents, he's only, I'm sorry for saying only because it sounds really patronizing, but he's only 18 years old. Like
oh yeah,
he is
it's
only 18.
it, I recently turned 18, I'm like an adult
You
now.
recently turned 18 as well, and I feel like, again, you've got your story and your journey, and I think the reason why I feel like you have such a wise and old head on your shoulders, like I feel like you're so much maturer than me, who's like in his early mid 30s. So, and I feel like part of that probably is to do with everything that you've been through from such a young age. Um, so can you just share with us, like from the very beginning, about your journey with mental health?
Yeah. I mean, to start, like I come from a huge family, and with several siblings. I have several older siblings, and being one of the youngest, it became very hard for my parents to take care of all of us, and which that led to me feeling a bit neglected by and ignored by not just by my older siblings, but also by my parents because they had to look after all my older siblings and me, and that's a lot of work to do. So yeah, so that basically made me feel very lonely, you could say, and not having like a very open support system or like people or my siblings I could go talk to, and everything that's been going on inside my head or in school, like being bullied and all of that kind of stuff, like that was basically very, you could say, really hard on from a very young age. Like I can remember from the age of 3, like, having nobody to talk to, feeling very, misunderstood, like nobody's understanding me. And that really took a big toll on my mental health, and made me like caused a lot of issues for me growing up, and that continued for several years, well into my teenage years. And during all of this, I had, you could say, I was very nervous, and I lacked a lot of social skills that a lot of kids my age had back then, and I did not have a very good and open and frank and friendly relationship with any of my siblings or my parents, I could say. So that all of that, just bottling up all my emotions, not being able to share them with anyone, that really caused that really led me to make many bad decisions, basically, including, trying to commit suicide at a at before my teenage years, which was really tough for, a kid. Now you can imagine an 11, 12-year-old kid trying to take his own life. Like you could be like, what the hell could possibly going wrong in his life that he feels the need to do that? Yeah,
So
that's
you
how
were
I felt.
11. You were 11
Yeah,
when you tried to
it's I
kill yourself?
I would say like 10, 11, 12. I'm not really sure
Wow.
because I tried it several times. So it's around this age. So, you know, and with the way that went was, it wasn't that I, got on one day and I was like, okay, I'm going to take my life. It was started up several months before that was when I was feeling, like I didn't have the desire to live anymore. Like I felt like life wasn't offering much. There was nothing I could do. And it was just pain and sadness kind of surrounding me all the time. So slowly but surely, the thought in my head came that, like, what if I just no longer exist? That would make life so much easier. And so that led me to, thinking of suicide, like actively in my head a lot. And so one night, I basically got up. Everybody was sleeping in my house. Nobody was awake to see me. I just got up, went into my kitchen, grabbed a sharp knife, and I just put it right to my chest, right here to my heart, basically. And I was very ready to just run it through to you. But for some reason, I wasn't able to do that. Like, I still to this day don't know what exactly it was. Maybe I was way too weak that I couldn't do it, or maybe I was too brave to, I had more of a will to live. But I honestly am not sure. And yeah, I tried to stop myself. That did not go well at all. I wasn't able to do it. So I put down the knife and I went back to sleep because I was worried that someone's going to wake up and see me. The following night, I tried the same thing and failed, and I kept doing that for the next several days, and I kept failing. So then I was like, okay, stabbing myself to do the job is not going to work. I need to come up with different ideas, different ways to do this. And for that, I thought of many different ways, but like jumping off from the roof or shooting myself in the head. But none of those were, something that I could easily do or was, had the strength, you could say, to actually go do it. So I basically I stopped trying to commit suicide actively, but deep down, I still, had no desire to live, absolutely, at all.
And this is, we talk about men's mental health, but this is almost boys' mental health, because I'm still trying to get my head around the fact of how young you are when this started, and then obviously this then continued in your teenage years growing up, which is incredible. And I think you hit the nail on the head where you said just bottling these thoughts and these feelings up. And I mean, look, you probably know better than me, being a mental health support worker, but
Yeah,
isn't suicide, like, I know in the UK it's the major killer of men under 45, and
definitely.
right, I am right in saying that, aren't
Yes,
I?
yes, and I think it's as men, I think it's very, very important to open up. Okay, it's important for us to open up about our issues. There's nothing um not manly about it. It's
Because we get told to man up, and boys don't cry, and, like, there's this tendency, we're going to come across weak, or a certain way, and I need to be tough, and I need to be super masculine, and
yeah,
that's
of
why, like,
course.
you see, the reason why I wanted to do this live was because of there's been so many people in the media that have died from suicide recently, and you just, because they've been told to just behave a certain way, and this is what the front that you need to put up, so they're bottling everything inside, and
Yeah,
then once, unfortunately, it's too late, people are like, oh, I wish I had spoken to him, or I wish they had opened up, etc. And unfortunately, I think we don't appreciate people, and we don't appreciate the emotions that people might have, and allowing them to showcase those emotions when they're around us, and it's incredibly sad. And I know that's in the UK, but I presume in Pakistan as well. Yeah, yeah. Like with suicide, I imagine it's probably very similar, right?
It's incredibly similar. Like a lot of people commit suicide in Pakistan. It is so, like, you could say, I would say use the word common, but it's not well known for it to be called common. Like in the past year in 2021, over 20,000 people commit suicide, and you don't hear about it in the news. You don't see it. You don't hear people talking about it. And it's so much common, and especially as you said, like, with the men and boys were told that, they're not supposed to cry or not supposed to show any feelings because it's a sign of weakness. That affects men a lot worse than it does women, because, like, you could say, like, compared to women, men commit suicide 3 times more, like, which is very hard for that. And it's just incredibly sad.
Can I just say, I love, this is why you're a mental health advocate, because you know all your facts and figures. But it is, we joke about it, but yeah, it's insane. It really is, and it's so, so sad. And I often think that how how low must someone feel, or how tough must the situation be that they must be in, for them to feel like the easier option is to kill themselves. You to know exactly what that is like, because you've been in that situation. Um, so yeah, yeah. How did you then? I mean, obviously, you're now 18. So you lived through all of that through your teenage lives. But how have you gotten to this point now, where you are, and I guess, can I say, somewhat in a better place? Like, what made you open up?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, because of all that bottling up, all that, keeping everything inside, not being able to express it, just got to a point where it just became too much for me. And I just could no longer just, keep it inside me. I could no longer just hide it. So I just had to talk. I had to come out. I had to tell someone about it. And for that, at the age of 16, I finally decided to open up to my siblings. to my cousins who I was close with, and I just told them about everything that I have been going through all my life. And that's how my journey of opening up and seeking help began. And so to my surprise, actually, they received it very well. And they were very loving and understanding of that, and everything that I've been through. And my sister and my cousins even helped me get professional help. And last year, at the beginning of last year, I started my therapy. Uh, you know, so and I've been continuing that till this year, and it's been amazing.
Can I just say that us being here is obviously raising awareness, but I also think that it's not easy for any of us to talk about our experiences. Not all of us are lions and lionesses. It's okay to be cubs. It takes strength and time to grow into a lion and to learn from your experience and to use that to become a better individual and a unique individual within society. So I think that for men, for anyone really, use your mental health issues as an advantage within society and see yourself as the mutants of mankind. See yourself as somebody that's special and like I said, a unique individual within a very dark world.
Well, I have to say, you guys are certainly both doing that. Like, mashallah, when we have like someone who's a mental health support worker and then a mental health sort of advocate. And yeah, and isn't it interesting that with both of you, the first step of you guys getting help, professional help, the first step was actually opening up to someone. And look, in your case, it was a fellow colleague that you felt like you could potentially trust. And yeah, in your case, it was your sibling and your cousin who you felt like you can trust. And then that took you kind of onto the journey of therapy. So I just want to ask you guys, look, I'll start with you, with therapy. What are the channels in the UK for how does someone go around getting therapy if they feel like they need it?
So for therapy, speaking from my experience, I did it through GP referral, whereby I obviously spoke about my issues to my GP, and they referred me forward for therapy. And prior to actually having one-to-one therapy, I had been put on a waiting list for a period of 2 weeks now. For a person to go into therapy, it takes them much longer than that. I was obviously one of the lucky ones to have only waited 2 weeks and then actually start my pre-therapy course and then my one-to-one therapy. And we'd have 12 sessions to address the issues that I feel that I need to address, and in order for me to progress further in my journey after therapy, the rest of the journey is yours and yours alone. So this journey of mental health, it's a never-ending journey. You constantly learn as you go through life. Exactly.
It's not an overnight thing, potentially battle with mental health or trying to overcome previous traumas. It can be a lifelong thing. And it's, having those support systems in place when you go through those low phases that are going to help you get back up the peak. And
Yeah.
I think that's quite important to remember. And look, hey, I know you mentioned there were a couple of resources as well, wasn't there, within the UK, like some support groups and charities and so on. That one you mentioned was at Mind Mental Charity,
Yes.
MIND, right?
So there are plenty of resources and support circles or support groups out there. Obviously, the first thing to do is to approach your GP and have a referral from there. And other
So that's all on the
organizations,
NHS, sorry, Lulu? That's all on the
yeah,
NHS?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. The other organizations that you can access are victim support, like Naeem has mentioned, Mind, um, Samaritans. These are just some of the very few support groups that are out there that are there for you and are there to listen to you and to guide you through your issues.
Yeah. So how about on the other side of the planet, in Pakistan, how is it seeking therapy there? I know for you it really helped you, but how does one go about doing it?
In Pakistan, I wish I could give you a long list of all the support systems you can join or people you can call, and you will find the professional help you need. But sadly, that is not the case in Pakistan. Like, mental health resources are very scarce. Like, finding a professional help therapist is really hard to find, and even for me, it took me a little while to find them because I asked my sister asked someone else, and we went on from there, and that's how we found my first therapist, basically. So I personally can't say like give you any resources yet like that. So I mean, I'm still looking for them. But one thing I can say to all our audience is if anybody who is from Pakistan or neighboring countries, they can, contact me, message me on Instagram, and I can, personally help them find if they're looking for the help that they need. So,
Thank you. Yeah. That's incredible, guys. Please obviously make sure you follow both of them. Um, Speaking of therapy still, do you guys both, again, I'm going to put this forward to both of you guys. Obviously, although Lu'ay, you're in the UK and
Yeah.
Yaya, you're in Pakistan, but we're still from the basic community, right? So
mm,
do you feel like when it comes to therapy, and not even necessarily just therapy, but the whole topic of mental health, do you feel like there's still a huge stigma attached to it within our community? So, with regards to, oh, such and such is going to therapy, or like such and such is going through issues with the mental health. And yeah, in fact, I'll come to you first. Do you feel as though that may be why it's harder to get resources and, find therapy?
uh,
Is that one of the reasons, do you think?
Oh, definitely 100%. Like, especially in Pakistan, like in Pakistan, like mental health is very synonymous with you being quite literally crazy. So if somebody says that they have a mental illness or they're going to therapy, everybody's going to assume that this person has gone mad, like their brain no longer functions anymore. So there's like a huge stigma attached to mental health and therapy. And, because of all of this, nobody really knows about this or the importance of it or what mental health even is or what therapy even does. And because of that, people are very uneducated. And, a lot of people who are suffering from mental illnesses and who need professional help cannot get that. And a lot of people don't even know that they're actually, what they're struggling with is actually mental illnesses. That's what it's called. So, like in Pakistan, it is very hard.
And look, hey, in your case, with regards to your family and your community here in London, what kind of support or how do you get from them with regards to you attending therapy and so on?
Well, with regards to me, only immediate family know is mainly my siblings and my father. They are aware that I go to therapy, but it's not something that's discussed within the household. Um, they understand, but they don't completely understand. As for the wider community, it's something that's seen as weak, taboo, silly. Um, in other words, it's something that's just brushed under the carpet, and I think it's very important for men, especially. It's time for us to speak up and raise awareness, as well as have a voice out there.
100%. Absolutely. And I was actually having a conversation with a work colleague today, and we were talking about sexual abuse and men's sexual abuse. And when we talk about men's sexual abuse, I feel like it's it's not taken as seriously in
Yeah,
comparison to female sexual abuse. And abuse is abuse. Abuse is wrong. Rape is wrong.
exactly.
It doesn't matter what gender you are, it doesn't matter where it comes from, it doesn't matter what age you are, you could be a teenager, you can be an adult, you know, it's all awful. And I feel like as men, I know we keep repeating the same thing, but we feel like we can't voice these things because it's not a very masculine thing to do.
Yeah,
And you almost feel a little bit stripped by being so vulnerable and openly talking about this. But I think, if we were to kind of summarize how we can go about sort of combating mental health a little bit, especially men's mental health, I think, and feel free, guys, to just sort of jump in if I've missed anything out. But I think the key thing is to talk,
definitely.
even if it's with one other person, whether it's a stranger, whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, whether it's a colleague, talk. That's the first step. Secondly, potentially look at seeking professional help.
Yeah,
So whether that's therapy, whether it's getting mental health support, counselling, and in the UK you can get that through NHS, and in the subcontinent, get in touch with Yahya, he's got contacts. So that's the second thing. And third thing, it's about just raising awareness and doing what we're doing right now, and sharing your stories, being open and vulnerable, because I honestly think that is how people would then also open up. Use your platforms, use your role as a mental health support worker, use your role as a mental health advocate, use your social media presence or your occupation or whatever it is that you do to raise awareness. And I think all of these are really key things, because we have the power, we really do have the power to change our lives, but also help someone in theirs too. And I like to think that's the way forward.
yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
So I think, yeah, what you said was amazing about not everyone's a lion. And some of us are cubs, and that's okay, because not all of us are the same. And isn't that what life is all about? Like, can you imagine if we were all the same and we were all lions, or whatever you want to say? We'd all just be the same, and that's just, the
Mm,
world will be such a boring place.
yeah,
and,
very.
and and it's about getting that inner strength, I think, more than anything. And I want to thank you guys, a personal thank you, like a personal thank you from the bottom of my heart, for being a part of my life. Oh, oh my God, I can't believe it. I think I'm going to get emotional. I'm so editing this part out of the YouTube.
Mm,
But you
you're
guys have
making us
been so
emotional now.
amazing in my life in this past year, for being there for me for like so much, some really crap times that I've been through over the past 18 months. And I cannot thank you guys so much enough. And I don't often, I think, share my story so publicly. And I think you guys have motivated me to maybe do that. So
Mm,
thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this, for joining me on the live and being part of this to raise awareness and sharing stories that are so deep and so heavy for you guys to potentially relive. And yes, thank you for being my best friends, and thank you for being there for me. And I hope I could be there for you in the same way. And yes, lots of love.
now you're making us cry now. I'm trying really hard not to do that. Oh, yeah,
What have
it's
we been
been
saying?
our
It's okay
pleasure.
for guys to cry. It's okay for
Yeah.
men to cry. It's
Oh,
okay.
mm.
Let the tears flow. That was the point of today's discussion. Um, on that note, guys, we're gonna call it a night. And firstly, yeah, I'm gonna say thank you to you, because what time is it there right now in Pakistan?
It's 2:30 a.m. right now.
Gosh, oh my God, I cannot thank you enough. And do you have
Mm,
school tomorrow?
Oh no, it's winter holidays, so I am
Then you're right.
completely
Then I
out
don't
to
feel so
stay.
bad. That is fine. No, honestly, thank you so much. And you, yeah, have been so amazing. And I hope you continue going from strength to strength and continue with your wisdom and parting your wisdom on everyone else. Guys, please get in touch with Yahya if you're from Pakistan or anywhere in the subcontinent. He has potential contacts if you feel like you need to talk to someone or therapy, etc. Yahya, can you just give everyone your Instagram handle, please?
My Instagram handle is Yahya7. You guys can see that, and I have been tagged in by Naeem in his post, so you can go there and feel free to DM me, and I will respond as soon as I can.
Fantastic. And obviously, I'm going to put Yaya's link in the bio too. But Yaya, I'm going to let you go. So I'm going to just, if you just click, I think there's a cross on the top. So just click
Yeah,
that and then it should be able to
yeah,
exit. But love you so much.
yeah.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
So, Lu'ai, I just want to say a huge, huge, huge thank you. I mean, I just have no words. Like, I have no words of how can I can describe the fact that you were so open and vocal about such huge trauma that you went through for quite a number of years, and for you to vocalize that for the sake of raising awareness and being so brave to do that. Not many people can do it. And you know what you were saying about cubs and lions? My bro, you are a fucking lion, mate. You are you are a lion, because only a lion can have that strength to be able to verbalize that. And yeah, I'm super proud. And honestly, I don't know if you could see the comments, by the way. I think you can, because unfortunately when I
Yeah,
save it and
I
upload it on
can.
my
I can.
YouTube, the comments will not come up. But you were getting so much love, and everyone's so proud of you. Zane just said so brave, so powerful, proud of you, dude. So yes, thank you so much. And I love you so much. And
Love you too.
thank you. I'm gonna let you go
All right.
because I'm
Okay. Take
sure you
care.
probably want to spend that as well.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. So there we have it, guys. That was the first name drop live of 2022. Incredibly heavy start the year as you mean to go on, I guess. But you know, such an important topic that I feel like needs to be discussed and spoken about, and hopefully I will continue to be doing these chats more often. I know I got incredibly busy for the past few months, but I will try my best to be more active, create more content. And if you guys have any topics that you want to discuss, it doesn't have to necessarily be mental health. You know, I do other things, of course, the fashion and modeling industry, male grooming, lifestyle, fitness. But yes, mental health too. And even the ladies as well. Like, if any of you guys want to join me on here to, you know, raise awareness or share your stories, then please feel free to do so. And I'm going to leave you guys to it. Have a lovely Thursday night, whatever's left of it. Enjoy your weekend, and I will be back to you guys very soon.